Okay, welcome back to the main interview section of today's episode. I would like to welcome to the podcast Gabriel Minnikin. Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, mate. Thanks for
How are you?
having me.
No, not a problem at all. Not a problem. Yeah, thank you for coming on to the podcast. Obviously, we've got plenty to discuss with yourself. First of all, I will ask the question I ask every artist when they come onto the podcast, and that's what genre would you say best describes your music for someone who hasn't listened to it before?
I'm a singer-songwriter.
Excellent. So, singer songwriter and kind of, I
Uh,
guess,
no,
rootsy kind of stuff, or
yeah. I said singer-songwriter. It was a bit of a
oh.
joke. Uh, Anywho, yeah, no, I don't know. Americana, or I'm Canadian, so maybe
Yeah,
Canadiana. You know, folk, country, alt country. Um, you know.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely the sound I hear when I listen to your music, and yeah,
Oh,
no,
good.
I'm very much looking forward to obviously speaking to you today because obviously my main genre that I listen to is Americana itself and all the subgenres and splits off from it. So that's my main genre. I want to go chronologically though as we go through your musical life.
Sure,
And the
man.
first thing I'm going to ask is what music was playing when you were growing up. I'm talking about household here, growing up as a
Yeah.
child. What were the first things you were just hearing?
The Canadian band, the band.
Hmm.
I love, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, Beach Boys, the Big Bees. Um,
Hmm.
you know, uh, Neil Young, Buffalo Springfield. Joni Mitchell, like Van Morrison, the Kinks. You know, like Crosby, Stills, Nash. A
Yeah.
lot of the hippie music that I was born in the 1900s, so going back a bit. Uh, so the 70s, yeah, the music that was around their house was pretty inspiring.
Yeah, so I guess you were hearing contemporary music of the time then, not necessarily because a lot of people hear music from the previous generation as a child because that's what their parents play, but your parents were pretty up to date, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the music of the time was always playing on the record player at home.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to know then, um, when did you start? Well, kind of. This is a bit of a silly question because it's usually the next question I ask. But actually, I was going to say, when did you start discovering your own music taste? But it sounds kind of like you kind of found it then, really.
Yeah. It's snuck in. But at the same time, like uh, when starting out writing songs, you can maybe
Mm,
uh, deliberately, you can mold your things deliberately to sound like what your favorites are, or then sometimes when you're not trying to emulate or uh, recreate a sound or something that you obviously enjoy, but it just naturally seeps in, and you didn't do it consciously. It just happens. So that's the art of making good music, I guess. Just let it go, and yeah, just let your influences uh, help along the way.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of letting your own individuality come out through your influences, I guess, isn't it? In many ways. I want to ask then how when did you start getting into music in terms of being a musician? When did that start for you then?
Well, I don't know. The first song I learned how to play on the piano was I Just Called to Say I Love You by
Mm,
Stevie Wonder. And then the first song I learned how to play on the guitar was, I think, like One by Metallica. So
mm,
those aren't anywhere close to being the same genre, but I enjoyed both of them very
yeah.
much, and still do. I listen to both Stevie Wonder and Metallica to this day. But yeah, that was easy
Mm,
for me. I guess it is easier for me to figure out, being that I don't have any musical training or anything like that. So. years later, my friends at the time were, the people I was hanging around as
Mm.
a teenager. I could play songs that were on the radio, no problem. Um, but not necessarily my favorite types of music. Our favorite songs were on the radio, but I could play
Yeah.
those songs. And my friends thought, that was pretty cool that I could play songs. But then it wasn't until a little bit later that my sister, Ruth, kind of encouraged me to maybe take it a little more seriously because I could do it. I could play things, but I really didn't think anything of it until she kind of encouraged me.
So when did you start kind of playing to other people then and audiences? How did that first sort of happen?
That was after, yeah, the band that my sister encouraged me to be a part of, um, the Guthries. That was kind of my first kick at the can
Mm.
at playing, I guess, I don't know, for real,
Yeah.
instead of for not being, for family or, your buds around the
Mm.
campfire or something. It was like, now you're gonna, you know, play on stages and go through, you know, tours and things like that. So that was
Yeah.
probably around 2000, 1999, 2000. So
Mm.
25, 26 years ago.
Yeah. So that's quarter of a decade of live performance, and
Mhm.
obviously you've released quite a bit of music during that time as well. Can you tell me about how you first started getting into recording music?
Yeah, that was with the Guthries. That was in the house
Mm.
that we shared. We had analog, a lot of analog gear set up running through the
Mm.
house. Snakes running through bedrooms, recording, putting amplifiers in that
Yeah.
bedroom, putting drum kit over there, things like that. So that was in our house, and that was,
Mm.
I guess, that was my first. I mean, I had a Tascam, like a little
Mm.
four track, a little Tascam
Yeah.
four track as a kid, and a little Alesis synthesizer that I used
Yeah.
to put the tapes into the four track and just do that in my bedroom and stuff, and like make dance tracks or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah.
So,
Uh,
am I right in thinking you recorded onto like tape and things? Because obviously this is in the
Yeah,
digital age, because the digital age started,
that's right.
over 30 years ago now, technically. So you were recording onto tape back in the early days.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think we were quite 2 inch tape, but at least 1 inch tape. And
Yeah.
the was it Ampex,
Mm.
the reel to reel,
Yeah.
the Tascam reel to reel machine. You put
Mm.
the tape reels on, and yeah, that's how we. I think I've recorded. I don't know how many records I've recorded. That's actually my favorite way to do recording. It's
Mm.
a physical thing. You need a
Yeah.
lot of you need someone who knows what they're doing that, and that's kind of a dying art. But if you can find someone who knows how to work a tape machine and maintain and fix a tape machine, it's always I love recording to tape. It's nice.
I guess it's just a lot warmer sound, isn't it? I mean, the human ear prefers analog sounds, doesn't it? Even if it comes down to the difference between a synthesizer and an acoustic guitar, the human ear gravitates to a. Put it this way, you get less of a headache if you listen to a few hours of
Uh,
acoustic guitar than you would a few hours of synthesizer, for example. So
oh
it's
man,
yeah, it's a lovely way to record, I guess, because of that.
I enjoy it, and there's people on both sides of that argument. A mate of mine said to me once, he's like, "Oh, so you like that hiss?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Ah, never mind. You don't get
Well, you don't hear many people complaining about the hiss on Beatles records, do you? So I guess
it." Yeah,
I guess, people must
give me a
like it.
break. Give me a break.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly, yeah. Let's talk about songwriting a bit now, because obviously during this period when you're recording, you've obviously started writing, I assume. Can I ask when you started songwriting actually? Because it's always interesting to know
Yeah.
if there's an early bloomer, late bloomer, or kind of where people expect it to be.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, like, I don't know. Is there a place where you should be in your creativity or how you
Probably not.
approach your art?
Yeah.
Everyone's different and is unique to everyone. So I don't know. I started with poetry, as a teenager, but
Oh.
I wasn't putting my poetry to
Mm.
music that I was able to make. I didn't really, you know, put the two of them together until I was in my 20s. And yeah, so
Mm.
it was poetry for my teenage years, and then kind of really becoming a multi-instrumentalist, and then combining the lyrics and then taking my poetry and putting it to music, and
Yeah.
that's how I started.
I guess that's really interesting. This is the first time someone's ever said to me on a podcast in 100 episodes plus that anyone's actually ever said they started with poetry. So forgive me if I ask what might sound like really basic questions, but I'm going to ask
Yeah,
a bit more because it
yeah,
fascinates me.
yeah.
So when writing initially, like starting with poetry, did you find that your poems would have some kind of rhythm to them? Because there's so many different types of poetry, isn't there? There's abstract,
Yeah,
and then yeah, like,
for sure.
did you find that?
Yeah, man, I love um, language. I love
Mm,
different like alliteration. I love just words. Whether or not they make sense together. As syllables. Um,
mm,
yeah. So maybe, yeah, my early poetry as a teenager was trying to, like maybe triplets, like the first, middle, and last word of that sentence
mm.
will rhyme with the first, middle, and last word of the next sentence, and then you have, so just experimenting, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's gibberish, but there will be a flow, and or maybe it's the other time, maybe the other way around. You do have a theme, and you do have something that you specifically are aiming to write about, and that's your goal, and that's a different procedure altogether when writing like that.
Well, yeah, that's something I want to bring up actually. So when you
Yeah,
write,
yeah,
um, are there any common themes that tend to come up within your music, or do you just go with the flow and just see what happens? You just sit down with no idea, or come to it with ideas? Tell me a bit more about that.
yeah. Well, sometimes you can't stop your your awareness of
Mm,
you're inspired now.
yeah.
You're repeating something.
Mm,
You're in your head or whatever. It's something that you should document somehow. I sometimes just sing my own, uh, film myself, or sing a melody to myself, or
mm,
use send the notepad. I'll
yeah.
start texting whatever I'm thinking into the notepad, and then later go apart and take it apart like that, and build something from that. And that's abstract. That
Mm,
that's building something
yeah.
that is unique. But if I'm starting to write something about something that's very specific, that bubble, that kind of bubble game, like where you start with
Yeah.
like, the main thing that's here, and you've got that, and then you
Yeah.
could branch off and you start thinking, these little think clouds that have to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
with the main, thing. So like all that can also help you maybe put it in point form or something like that, to
Mm.
whatever it is that your idea of whatever you want to create or say or whatever, that can somehow give you an idea or more ideas of where your song or your poem could go.
Mm. No, 100%. It's just interesting to hear the creative process of artists. Is always interesting because
I agree.
so many
I
different
agree.
artists have so many different approaches, and it's fascinating. But obviously, a lot of the people you mentioned earlier, um, they have incredibly fascinating writing processes. The amount of material that that they don't record, or they do record then leave then re-record later on because the song feels only right to them. Then people like Bob
Right.
Dylan and like it's like that. Bruce Springsteen, for
Yeah.
example, is incredibly like that, as we've seen this year with
Hmm.
what he's released. And it's always interesting to see those kind of things. I want to ask, which writers influence you the most when you are writing? I assume I mentioned possibly a couple of them there, and you mentioned some earlier, but which ones do you
Yeah.
find sort of seeps in a little bit into your writing or your process?
Yeah. Well, certainly, I'm a big Towns Van Zandt fan.
Mm.
So I
Oh,
love I
good to
love
hear.
Blaze Foley.
Mm,
Blaze Foley, Towns Van Zandt, all those guys, Guy
yeah.
Clark, the Bob Dylans,
Mm,
the Lucinda Williams,
mm,
uh, you know, I don't know, like these songwriters, that do experiment with the English language,
yeah.
the things that come out of their mouth when they're not even writing a song is just pure poetry sometimes, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, like it must be so easy for you to write a song because everything you
Yeah.
do is so brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I don't know. There are, if you're, if it's a sad or somber kind of a direction that you're going in, you just throw it in a minor key or whatever, and then you're instantly in a kind of downtrodden kind of vibe or energy, and
Mm,
maybe it's for a murder ballad or something
yeah.
dark, or and but then if you got something more optimistic and it's a positive, encouraging song, then you
Yeah.
find yourself into a happy, optimistic key. It's going to be a major key. It's
Mm,
going to, so yeah, I like mixing up all those things in music that takes you on a journey as well. So I like throwing in all of those.
yeah.
Some songs are big chord salads, as I say. They have
Mm,
all the chords in them, and I find with lyrics, they can't be as busy as the music would be, and then opposite with maybe a song musically that is quite gentle and easy and optimistic that the lyrics can be a little less.
You know what? That's
And
something. Yeah. Carry on.
no, that's just the contrast of like because I write sometimes very busy and there's a lot of everything
Mm,
going on in the music, and then I find like that the lyrics can't be like that. The lyrics have to be the exact opposite of that. My approach to singing has to be exact opposite to that busy music, but then flip it around. The music is nice and easy. That means I think lyrically or in my melody, I could go somewhere a little bit more.
yeah. Well, it's so interesting to hear you say that because I actually, you know what, I'd never truly thought about that. And I think, including myself in this, as songwriters, I think especially those of us who are like ourselves are influenced by those who are able to say so many things lyrically in so many different ways with so much metaphor, and they can just pack in so many syllables into just one line of a lyric, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and they're also artists who have some absolutely massive anthems, like things like the Band of the Weight, for example, and things like
yeah.
that. These are these big
Right.
anthemic songs, but actually knowing having the control in yourself to
Yeah.
just be able to write what the song needs, whether that be writing musically what the song needs or writing lyrically what the song needs, is actually so important, isn't it? Because otherwise you're
Yeah.
going to overwhelm people or underwhelm people,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a delicate dance. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's yeah. What you said earlier. Sometimes you have to put that idea away and come back to it
Mm.
because it could be maybe too overwhelming at the time for you to put those two things so
Yeah.
delicately together.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We need to talk about some of your music now. Obviously you've got several albums available for people to listen to on Spotify, and we've got one dating back to 2004 on there, all the way up to 2024, and obviously that's the latest album, and Lorraine.
Yeah.
You've also got one of my personal favorites of yours, as I've been listening through, which I've got a massive soft spot for, which is Parakeets with Parasols. I absolutely
Ah,
love
cheers.
that album. I love that record. I want to
Thank
say
you.
though, obviously like the production quality on your music is just outstanding, and when I say that, I don't mean like fidelity quality, I mean genuinely artistic production, as in
Thank you.
the actual artistic direction of the music is of such high quality. Can you tell me how you go about recording and getting that level of production on your music?
Yeah. I I don't know. It's a tricky one. I don't. I think I hear things quite densely,
Mm,
and it's not to get to an epic place. I can get there quite easily,
yeah.
but it shouldn't always be like that. And that's the trick is not getting overwhelmed. But I'm glad that you like the Parakeets with Paracells album because
Mm.
that was done in Manchester. I recorded that
Mm.
in a church in Manchester.
Oh yeah.
Uh, with That was on the tape machine, and that was done
Oh
in
wow.
big chunks. So I did take the tape machine with me. I think we started at my mate's house with
Mm.
just the piano, an upright piano, a double bass player, John Thorne
Mm.
from Manchester. He's brilliant. And then my mate Tim Warren on drums. He's in
Mm.
Spain right now. But the three of us sat in a room. We did all those songs, piano, bass, and
Yeah.
drums on the tape.
Mm.
Took that tape machine to the church where I was a member of the choir
Mm.
and set up the tape machine, set up loads of headphone amps, loads of
Mm-hmm.
headphone amps out into the church, all the chairs, the conductor, and I had the violins, the violas, the cellos, and maybe some woodwind, maybe some flutes and
Mm.
clarinets all at once, again to tape right there. And
Yeah.
after that, it was time for the choir, and then that was another big chunk with the conductor. That was on tape, and
Mm.
then the last bit was the brass and maybe more woodwind
Yeah.
was the last chunk. So those were big chunks, all recorded live at once to make Parakeets with Parasols. And then there were overdubs after that.
Yeah.
So that album was deliberately set out to be grand, over the
Yeah.
top. That was the purpose of that.
Well, that explains everything I love about it because why I love that album so much is it is so rootsy, and it's so warm sounding, and I think that's probably because it comes from that analog background, doesn't it? It's got the analog recording,
Yeah,
and everything's being
absolutely.
recorded pretty close to live as much as possible and things. So
Absolutely.
that really does make sense for me. Um, I actually want to ask you about one of the songs on that, and I want to ask you,
Sure.
it's not title track, sorry, the opening track, "Land of
Yeah.
Language." I love
Yeah.
that song. Can you tell me more about what that's
Thank
all
you.
about and how it? Well, we kind of know how it came to be, but what's
Yes.
it all about?
Well, that is what we were just talking about.
Mm,
Talking about language,
yeah,
um, and how poetry works.
yeah,
Or like that is, I think, the land of language is nonstop alliteration. Line
yeah,
after line is, if the first word starts with R, then the last word and every word in between is going to start with R. So every line of that song is pretty much just alliteration and how it flows off of the tongue. Different words with different syllables and how they sound back to back. They don't
mm,
necessarily have to make sense. So that song is just talking about, and we're in a land of language, and anything is possible. So
yeah,
that means that every line in that song, "The Land of Language," is different from the next, and it's not to necessarily make sense with the next. There's not a theme or anything you can follow. It's just having fun with words.
yeah. I feel like that's something you do across your music, I guess, because there's a couple
Yeah,
other, like some of the song titles that you have are genuinely
yeah,
fascinating for the language reason, if that makes sense. There's,
sure,
Canada on
right,
your second to last album. There's blah
yeah,
blah blah, which opens, and Lorraine.
yeah.
Is that something you consciously think about as you make music then because of your love of language?
It is, and I was just having this conversation with my bud yesterday. We were having a little
Mm,
jam session in the living room there,
yeah.
uh, and just saying that because I've got all my music scored
Mm,
out, charted out, and lyrics and chords and what have you, and I'll also figure out different places for capo positions and
Mm.
whatnot, and I'll send those to different
Yeah.
musicians. So when we all get together and we're all playing the same thing at the same time, but that means sometimes when I send a sheet of music that is the exact same song to someone else, it has a different name on it
Mm.
than the exact same song that I sent to another friend of mine,
Yeah.
and it's called something else. And then when I've recorded it, it's called something else yet again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figure until it's recorded and in stone, printed somewhere, like like it's free. I can call it
Yeah.
whatever I want. But once it's recorded, then it's basically that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting just because artists, as we write, we do change things up until the final moment sometimes, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what's great when an artist releases a well, demo versions and then outtakes and things like that, because often these outtakes sometimes they can come from years before if they tried it once and then revisited later
Yeah.
on a later release. So it's always interesting to hear things that change, and it just fascinates as part of that process. I want to talk about the the latest record, should I say? It came out in
Sure.
2024. And
Yeah.
Lorraine, can you tell us more about
Yeah.
how that album came to be and any themes of the record and things like that?
Yeah. Sure. Well, uh, my first album was my first like Gabriel Minnikin album was 2004. I
Mm,
released that here in Halifax,
mm,
Nova Scotia, on the east coast of Canada. I recorded it here. I
mm.
released it. We had a great big album launch. It was 2 nights here at a place called the Music Room.
Yeah.
So that was 2004. Uh, my wife, who I'm married to now, was going to university in Toronto.
Mm,
She flew home from Toronto to Halifax to help celebrate the
mm,
release of my album, the 2004 album.
mm,
She then went back to university. We had separate relationships. We lived different lives for
mm,
decades, and then we found our way back to one another after living in different parts of the world. And in
mm,
2024, releasing my sixth album, my wife uh, said, "Well, why don't we get married at the music
mm.
room?" So it was 20 years from the release of our first record
Yeah.
to the sixth record, and she had the idea of I had already proposed, but she had the idea of saying, "Well, why don't
Yeah.
we just get married at the music room?" It's
Yeah.
been 20 years of so we did, and I called it Anne Lorraine because that is her name.
Oh,
Uh,
that is a lovely story, that actually. Yeah.
yeah.
It's almost like I guess that's the thing. It's a dedication, isn't it? And does the album sort of fit themes around that story, or is
Yes.
it more of
Yes.
a Gabriel Minnikin
That's right.
guy,
Yeah.
just doing anything you normally do kind of thing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, there are certainly songs on the album. Ditch Grass is one of them.
Mm,
Ditch Grass is Anne Lorraine inspired.
mm,
The name of the boat on the cover of the album is called Anne Lorraine. Anne Lorraine made this lovely sweater
mm,
with the boats on it. She made me this.
yeah.
Anywho, yeah, there's a lot of water. I find myself inspired or uh, water is somehow always around me. I live on a
Yeah.
peninsula here. My work is on the water, and yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like a lot of my music is has water in it somehow.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, that's reading up about you. One word that comes up more frequently than I expected it to is the word maritime. So I see that
I
come up
am a
quite a bit.
maritimer, mate. I'm a
Yeah,
maritimer.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, it just comes up quite a lot, that word, when reading about yourself.
Well, that's me. Oh,
Yeah.
there's my dog. That's Cookie.
Mm,
Um, I'm sorry that she's barking. However,
that's okay.
she does this from time to time. It's oh, Is my wife coming in? Here comes Anne Lorraine now.
And Rain.
Yeah.
It's all the influences of the album in one room.
Yeah, except for the cat, a boy named
Yeah.
Sue. I have a cat called a boy named Sue,
Oh, that is
and
brilliant.
he's actually the king of the castle around here. So
Yeah. Well,
um,
that's what cats are usually like, isn't it? To be honest.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Exactly. I want to talk about, because I know you perform live as well. I want to talk
yeah,
about the Gabriel Minnikin live experience. I know you've
yeah,
played internationally as well. I actually was double booked. Well, I say double booked. I was already booked in to be at a gig on the night when you played. I think was it the Betsy Trotwood you played in
yeah.
London
That's right,
recently?
and
Yeah.
yeah, looking
I,
well.
I was I was unfortunately at another gig already that I'd booked in by the point that I knew about the show, so I wasn't able to make it. I know someone who did go, and they said it was absolutely fantastic. So can you tell
Oh
us
yeah,
more about the Gabriel Minnikin live
yeah,
performance?
yeah. Sure. That was in September, so I don't know when you're airing this or whatever, but we're into
Mm,
December now. So my wife
yeah,
and I played the Betsy Trotwood in London. It turned out to be a sold out show
yeah,
anyways. So I don't know if he would have been able to get in, but
yeah,
uh, I'm just I'm just kidding. Um, so yeah, it was fun. Raz there at the Betsy's always treated me
mm,
well. He's a really good bloke,
yeah,
Raz. If you know Raz and you know the Betsy and Clerkenwell, you know
yeah,
that he's sound as a pound. That guy.
mm,
So he has always entertained and encouraged me to play at the Betsy. I've played many other places in London, but if uh, if uh, if I can, and if I don't even have a gig, I'll stop in the Betsy every time I'm in
yeah,
London just for a pie or a pint or something.
yeah, yeah. The Betsy
But
Trotwood's
yeah,
a great venue, isn't it?
it is, and all of my buds from Danny Wilson, from
Mm,
Champions of the World, and
yeah, yeah,
the Bennetts, the Bennett
mm,
brothers from Dreaming Spires, and Trevor Moss and Hannah Lou, and that whole scene. I think I've played the Betsy with all of them.
yeah.
It just seems to be a place where good times happen. Every time you're at the Betsy, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned Danny and Champions of the World. They've literally got two of their CDs sat just there and a vinyl over there if they're somewhere. So it's
Yeah,
interesting you mentioned them. But
yeah,
yeah,
man.
no, I mean, I'm hopefully at one point I'll be able to come and see you live when you're next in London, because I'd love to see some of the songs that I've been listening to perform live. Obviously, that would be absolutely fantastic.
What was it now? I want to say like the Sound Lounge.
I do know. So yeah, I know the Sound Lounge. Hannah White runs that with
That's
her
right.
husband.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they honestly the two of them. I love Hannah White. I've seen her live several times, and yeah, I need to go to the Sound Lounge because I haven't actually managed to venture there yet because Sutton's a little bit not on the tube, if that makes sense for me.
It's a
But I
little bit out of
am
the way,
in
isn't it?
London. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it is a fantastic venue from what I hear, and Michelle Stoddart has been on the podcast, speaks wonders of it as well. So yeah, are you playing there at some point?
May 15th.
Oh, okay. We'll have to put that into the calendar. We'll have to put that into the calendar. That'd be great. Cool, perfect. So I want to ask then. Obviously, you kind of said a little bit there about what's in the future, but what's in the future for yourself, as in musically and live and things like that? Obviously, this is coming out before Christmas, by the way. So anything in the new year,
Oh,
you can feel
okay.
free to say.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, well, what's the crack? Oh, in the spring, there's a thing here called well, like you were saying, Maritimer. Here in the
Mm,
Maritimes, we're in the Atlantic
mm,
region of Canada. We have the provinces Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia. So
mm,
that is the east coast of Canada. There is so
mm,
much bloody talent in
mm.
these provinces. Musically, the art that comes out of these provinces is incredible. So I don't know about the rest of Canada. I don't think they have something like what we have here that is called the East Coast Music Awards. Now, the
Mm,
East Coast Music Awards, uh, you uh, you kind of have to have you have to be a kind of like a somewhat of a consistent artist doing showing the industry that you're capable of
yeah.
exporting yourself and
Mm,
doing things. So like what the East Coast Music Award Association, I guess,
mm,
does is they bring people from other countries that are, maybe they're from record labels or
mm,
festivals or from wherever to come to the East Coast, look at the talent that we have here during the East Coast Music Awards, to therefore go back to wherever they came from in the world and take
mm,
some of the East Coast music with them and book them at their festivals or sign them to
mm,
their record labels or do whatever. So that's coming up in May. And I threw my name in the hat. I released an album last year.
mm.
I'm crossing my fingers. However, I'm not holding my breath, if you know what I mean. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no. Um, can you let the audience know where they can find your music and
Yeah.
also let them know where they can find you online? And obviously, we'll wrap up after the episode as well. But if you can let them know that, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Gabriel Minnikin. I'm on Instagram as Gabriel Minnikin Music. So that's my Instagram handle. I don't have any other social media except
Mm,
for Gabriel Minnikin Music on Instagram. Or I'm sorry, yeah, on Instagram. The only link to my music that I usually support that I actually get paid from is Bandcamp. So Anne
mm,
Lorraine and my other albums are all on Bandcamp. And again, just put Gabriel Minnikin into Bandcamp, and then you'll see all my albums that come up. The latest one is Anne Lorraine, and that was the one that my wife and I were supporting or promoting rather in Europe this past autumn. And
Super, excellent. Thank you. I would like to say a huge thank you to you, Gabriel, for coming on today. Really do appreciate that. It's been
pleasure.
absolutely wonderful to A, hear your story, but B, also find more out about your process. And yeah, that's been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, as I say, we'll wrap up quickly after the episode. But I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone for listening and a huge thank you to you, Gabriel, for coming on to the podcast.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem.